Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to Ultimate Insider, Bear Insiders Podcast. I am Mike Pawlawski, former Cal quarterback and radio color analyst. And this week, the Bears got a huge win in Berkeley against a good Big Ten team in Minnesota. They came in with a good quarterback in Drake Lindsay. They could run the football, had a massive offensive line, and had a very sound defense. And the Bears did a great job of battling the entire game and finding the win in takeaways and special teams. And so we'll talk a lot about that with Coach Wilcox coming up. Right now, I just kind of want to get into the game overall, my thoughts on what I saw. Minnesota comes in, and they're a team that is going to run the football. They're going to run play action pass. They have a good young quarterback, redshirt freshman, Drake Lindsay, who's going to be a pretty good player when all is said and done. And they were going to try to get your eyes in the wrong spot with that play action. And so they're built to run the football like Oregon State used to do when Jonathan Smith was there. Coach Mihalchik was a O-line coach, where everything looks similar. Everything, run action, play action, and passing game all looks similar. And so when you do that as a defense, you have to be very sound in the way you play defense. Secondary has to handle the pass. People who are responsible for run fits have to handle run fits. What they're trying to do is get you to make a mistake somewhere in that front where linebackers don't get into coverage or safeties step down in that run game and they can find holes in that defense. But the Bears overall were fairly sound in defense. Were really sound in defense, making that happen in the passing game. The run game, at times, Minnesota ran for just over 130 yards. At times, it looked really good. Bears were super sound. Aiden Keanu-Aina was, once again, a man up front, just handling his business. And so I thought they were really good in that defensive front. And I thought their linebackers, remember, Kedu Luabe was out early in this game. And so I thought their linebackers played really, really well. One guy in particular I want to point out, we talk about Luke Farrelly every week, and he had another fantastic game, but Aaron Hampton came in and got a shot to step up and play, got the new nickname King Salmon out there because he's from Anchorage, Alaska, but played extremely well at that linebacker position, especially for his first big reps. And so hats off to him. He played well. He showed up a bunch, couple big goal line stops for the Bears. And so I thought he had a great game out there. I think, once again, Luke Farrelly, ton of tackles, led the team in tackles, had a fantastic game at that linebacker position, and he continues to get better. You can see just his recognition in the game improving every single game. He's flying, he's triggering and hitting run fits faster, just showing up week after week after week. And he was really good in pass coverage when he had to drop into coverage as well this week too. So he had to step up. He had to be the main guy with Cade out, and he did a fantastic job at that linebacker spot as well. So I think that's promising, the linebacker spot. The two edge guys this week, TJ Bush was really good. Ryan McCullough, really good out there, getting some pressure on the quarterback, holding that edge in the run game. I thought that they were both really sound. TJ Bush especially was harassing Drake Lindsay all night long. The Bears got 2 sacks, TJ Bush in on the first one, and was really good in this game. So defensively, just really improving in that front seven. In the secondary, once again, Paco Austin was very good, got called for a pass interference, grabbing a little bit on one play. And then Zeke Masses got another interception. Also, I think he got a PI as well. But both those guys really good at that man corner position, both really talented. And then Zeke, of course, getting the takeaway. That's huge in football. To be able to take that ball away and give it back to the offense to create another possession for your offense is massive. And on that play, which I will draw up on my plays of the week, later on in the week, you can see how Zeke Masses studied film, and there was an in-game adjustment to something that they hadn't seen before. And his recognition and his ability to drive on that ball, and then his confidence in having made the right read was something pretty impressive to watch. And so, like I said, pause plays of the week, later on in the week, I'll be drawing that up for you. You can check it out. Super fun to see as an analyst, to watch guys, when you can see the film study come in. I called that on the radio call, that you could see that he had studied film, that he knew what he was looking at. And then we found out it was an in-game adjustment later too. So you're putting together film study, you're putting together adjusting whiteboard stuff on the sideline and making it happen in the game. That's huge. The ability to do that is enormous. And so Zeke Masses really good at that. Isaiah Crosby was awesome again at that safety position. He's one of the most sound tacklers we've seen back there in a long time in Cal secondary. He just doesn't miss many tackles. And so he's really good about getting there. He's got great speed to the ball, but then he's really good about cutting people off and making plays. And then Aiden Manitai, hard to believe he's a true freshman. He is all over the place. He is playing his assignment. He's doing extremely well, and just fun to watch young players like that playing at the level that he's playing. So that's the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, Bears shuffled some people on that offensive line. They started with the similar offensive line, then moved Braden Miller down to guard. You had both Leon Bell and Fred Williams playing at tackle. I think it was the best game that our tackles have had so far this year. Not that it was perfect, but it was the best game that they've had in protection, especially. So getting better up front. Braden Miller, probably good at the guard, probably pretty solid there. And so I thought that was good. A few issues on missed blocks up front, whiffing on blocks, which obviously you never want. But the offensive line played better, more consistent, less missed assignments. And so I think that's really good. And it didn't show up in the running game because the Bears did not run the ball very much. Now, part of that is that there are RPOs that are called, and a young quarterback always sees the pass. And so sometimes the runs were there that if he hands it off, I mean, they were huge chunks. And then sometimes it just was a stalemate up front because, let's face it, Minnesota was massive on both sides of the line. They had some big dudes. And so it's one of those games that if you're going to run the ball, you just need to continually pound rocks, just chip away until you finally break something. That's what Minnesota did on offense. And so the Bears decided instead to go with the RPO game, to go with the passing game, and put it in the hands of the freshman quarterback who had one heck of a game again. 24 for 38, 279, and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Threw some passes where at the time you're like, oh, and then they turned out being great passes. One in particular, that 50, I think it was 55-yard strike to Javen Plummer, left side heading north, was into 3 DBs, kind of dropping it right in the middle of danger. But he's got that knack to be able to throw that ball into places that other guys won't throw it because he has the confidence in his ability to be precision accurate. And he really is precision accurate. So he was really good in this game on a lot of his reads on some of the bigger balls, especially that ball to Tron down the sideline, putting it up where only his guy could go get it. So I thought Jaron played really well at times. And then there was some freshman stuff, the short game, not getting his feet set, all these little things which you can get away with in high school at the lesser game. And now as you step up, you realize, ooh, I've got to perfect those little things. And so he's going to perfect these little things, or at least improve a ton on the little things. He's going to pick up new reads and new learning every single week. And then he's just going to continue to grow throughout the season. So we're going to see a different quarterback this game than we saw last game. And we saw a different quarterback last game than we saw the game before. And so it's just growth every single game until by the end of this year, all of a sudden you have what feels like a veteran quarterback. And then watch the growth in the offseason between year 1 and year 2. It's amazing how huge the growth is when you get a chance to sit back and look at things, review film, and go over what you can do better, and then put in all that work in those places where you know you need to work. It's going to be sensational to watch. So that said, Jaron, really good in this game. Ton of stuff he can still clean up, but really good. ACC Rookie of the Week. Once again, Mason Minnie at that tight end spot gives you a weapon because he can run, he can catch, he can block, he can do it all. And so he continues to get better as well and continues to improve at that tight end spot. Jeffrey Johnson with a huge catch this week. All these guys, that tight end spot has been pretty solid all year long. And so really fun to watch those guys play, do what they do, and they are battling at that position. We lost Endries last year, this offseason, and so we needed to have something to fill that in to get better, to be good in that spot. And Mason Minnie has stepped up, Jeffrey Johnson has stepped up, and I think both those guys looking really good right now. All 3 tight ends really have been good this year in the roles that they've been asked to play. So that's solid. Jacob DeJesus, once again, really good in this game. 7 receptions, 10 targets, had a touchdown. He's a dude who just continually shows up. There's times on film where he is breaking dudes' ankles with his routes, just setting people up, running the right stem. There's one in particular early on a corner route. He's going against Coy Parrish, number 3 from Minnesota, and he sticks him. He gets vertical. He gets inside, so it looks like he's going to break off the post or the over route. And Parrish spins, and as he does, Jacob sticks him on the inside route and comes back out, and Parrish was nowhere near him. Jacob was wide open. He did that a couple of times in this game. And so it's fun watching him run routes. And as a guy who's not huge, he needs to run those kind of routes to get open for a quarterback to be able to feel super comfortable throwing that ball in there, not having to make your guy compete for the ball. So he's creating that space, creating that separation, which makes it a super comfortable throw. And he's doing a really nice job at receiver. Running game, once again, a little bit of work in progress still. Most of the time, it was one guy here or one guy there. The reason they didn't get it. But the Bears only ran for 65 yards, so not a lot to say about that running game. But, hopefully the O-line, they figure out, what's going to go on, what the personnel mix is, what the match is, and then they can get that going. Minnesota was huge. They were big on that defensive front. They were big on the offensive front. So it was going to be a battle to run it anyway, and the Bears just decided they were going to do it through the pass. So anyway, overall, great win versus a good opponent. It was fun to watch. It was a fun game to call because it was always back and forth. They were in it. The 2-minute drive right before halftime, JKS running that drive, really impressive. So just good to see that this Bears offense feels like it's at a place where it's now on a par with the Justin Wilcox defense. Coach Wilcox's defense had been so good for so long, and we just haven't had the competency on the offensive side of the ball. I love the new offensive staff. Harsin, Rolovich, Cefalo, Mike Sefel over there working. Coach and I over there on the offensive line. I just think they're just putting something together there. This group is growing, and the offense is so much better. But I love Brian Harsin's play calling. There is answers on every play. Very few plays where there weren't answers for the young quarterback. And so fun to see, fun to watch, fun to review and analyze afterwards as I watch game film too. Offense is way better. And when you can trust your offense, it makes a huge difference for a head coach. When you trust both sides of the ball, you can make decisions based on we're going to get it instead of what if we don't. And that's got to be so much more fun for head coach Justin Wilcox. And that said, we're going to talk to Travers Family head football coach Justin Wilcox right now. Joining me now is head coach Justin Wilcox. And coach, that's a pretty good win against a quality opponent. Tell me your thoughts on that game.
Yeah, it was a great battle. I'm really proud of the team. I thought each phase I had a hand in the outcome. Hard fought game against a really good team, and we got to take the good and build on that, and then take the things that we didn't do well and apply those to practice this week and improve upon them so we can play better this Saturday against San Diego State.
One of those things that coaches talk about all the time are turnovers and special teams, and the stats were really close across the board, kind of total yards, everything else, except for turnovers and special teams. I thought you guys, obviously, 2 takeaways and big-time special teams play. Talk about the difference that made in the game.
Yeah, I thought it was huge. I mean, we were +2 in the turnover margin. The explosive plays were even. And the special teams, the starting field position, we won. And we obviously got they made a mistake on the punt return, and we took advantage of that mistake, which was huge. We also had a couple punt and pins, which created long fields for them. So overall, really great job by the special teams unit. They have a good special teams unit as well. We were able to take advantage of some plays, and our punter punted well. But that's where that it took everybody throughout that game, and that's a good thing that we can learn a lot from.
And those are the kind of battles, right? It's going to take every phase to win a lot, especially as the season goes along and teams get better and better. I think it's fair to say over the last several years, defense has been pretty steady. Offense has been fits and starts trying to keep up with it. This year, I'm getting so many text messages about how much fun it is to watch this team, and offense makes the game fun to watch.
Yeah.
And so you're getting a ton of that from people who are seeing that. It feels to me, having been around the program for a long time, that the offense is now really complementary to what you're doing on defense. Talk about the difference in having that complementary offense.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately you want the complementary team, that the offense and the defense work together, and everybody helps on special teams, and you create returns with a great returner. And so, yeah, there's moments where it certainly feels like that. And we still have so much more that we can do. And the players recognize that. But at the same time, their successes that they've had, that validates the work they've put in, and that builds confidence, and that's a good thing. So we're going to acknowledge those things and celebrate them, but at the same time, we're going to look at the things that we can do much better and work on those this week so we can play our best game this Saturday.
Well, let's talk about one of those things that you can do better. The run game didn't run the ball really a lot or extremely well in this game. What was going on up front that obviously, they're used to stuffing the run. It's a Big Ten team. They run ball heavy. But what was going on that the run game was not efficient in this game?
Yeah, I mean, personnel has something to do with it. Some of the run fronts they were giving us, the coverages they were giving us, we knew, some of our run game ended up being throws, and some of the, getting the ball on the perimeter quickly to get some easy completions. We wanted to run the ball more and wanted to run it a bit better. We were having success in the pass game with Jaron and the receivers and the tight ends, and so that's something that we can build upon. But I think late in the game, that drive where we did run the ball more effectively, had a couple great runs late in the game is key with different backs. B-High had a couple, and then Jaron had a quarterback run on got us a first down, which is a huge play. So we got to build upon that, but we certainly want to run the ball more efficiently and more often if we can. But ultimately, we're going to do whatever we got to do to win.
So let's talk about some of the guys that were really big, both in the run and the passing game, but especially catching the ball. Mason Minnie, once again, continues to impress with what he's doing. 6 targets, 4 catches, a big touchdown with a second effort. Talk about the difference he makes, because as you watch him, this guy has a real chance to be, I think, a pretty good player.
He does. And he works really hard at it. Mike Safel has done a great job developing him. Mason, been here since the winter, and he's a hardworking guy. He's a very smart guy, and he has the ability to play every down. He's not one of these tight ends that's just kind of a glorified, receiver, and he's not an extra lineman. Yeah,
right.
He's a true tight end. I mean, he can block and he can run and catch. He's competitive. So I think he's got a very bright future, and really pleased with the progress he's made.
And another guy, and you knew what you got because you played him in the bowl game last year, he's really popped, is Jacob DeJesus. Yeah. He is getting open. He is spinning guys. There's one route in particular, he ends up catching the corner route, but he took that inside stem, got upfield, turned the safety, and then came back out. It was a thing of beauty. It was clinic film to watch. Talk about the difference he makes as he's out there on the field.
Yeah, Jacob's a really good football player. He's not the tallest guy on the field when he plays, but he is an excellent player. He's hard to cover because he's built low to the ground. He gets in and out of his breaks very quickly. He catches the ball. He's very competitive. He's hard on himself. I mean, he's always expecting more, which I love that about him. But, Coach Harsh and the offensive staff, Coach Seth, they do a great job of moving him around. He's lined out at the outside receiver running routes. He's lined up in the backfield, coming out of the backfield. They put him in the slot. We put him on the move. He runs corners and posts and ins and outs. So you try and keep it, mix it up on those DBs so they don't always have one thing to defend when they're playing against him.
Yeah, no doubt. Hard to cover, hard to figure out for sure. And then finally, come back down to the quarterback. He gets ACC Rookie of the Week again this week. It did a ton of great stuff in this game. And as you watch film, there's still so much room for improvement with him as well. Like he's breathing some life into the offense. He's a guy who's finding the reads sometimes, most of the time, and then sometimes there's room for improvement. And so it's just fun to watch him grow at the position.
Absolutely. He's doing a heck of a job for a young guy. He's got a special talent to throw the football, and his poise is really impressive. I mean, he's just out there playing football like he's played it his whole life, and he's managed, he's one of the things I love. He had some great throws. I mean, we could pick a number of them that were really impressive, but the operation at the end of half, he did a really, really good job with. There's one play in there where he took the sack, and he'll learn from that one, but he came back, got the spike. Then he hit Jacob, and then we hit the quick out it was only 3 yards, but those 3 yards made a difference because our field goal made it by less than 3 probably. So really, and we didn't have a timeout because we had to burn them all to get the ball back, and he did a heck of a job. He's still learning a ton, but he's eager to learn. He works his butt off. He's always in here watching video. He loves football, and he's doing a heck of a job. Really, really proud of him and excited for what's next.
Yeah, one of those things that most quarterbacks learn as you go along is it's really hard to intercept a pass. Like it's hard for the defense to really make a play and intercept a pass. And some of those shots that you talk yourself out of as a quarterback that you don't take could be completions if you throw the right ball. I don't think that's in his thinking at all. Like, he is ready to throw that ball when he sees a guy open. He just slings it.
Yeah, he's got a lot of confidence in his arm, and deservedly so. And I think the key is when to take them and when not to, and he'll continue to. I want him to have confidence in that arm because we have confidence in his arm and his decision making. And as you mentioned earlier, there's going to be plays in that game that he's going to look at the tape and say, okay, I could have taken one more count and thrown the ball here, or maybe I could have got the ball to Mason here. But he's just he's learning every time he goes out there, and he's able to digest the information and then go back and apply it. He doesn't make a lot of the same mistakes twice, and that's a great thing. But he's doing a fantastic job. We're really proud of him, and it's exciting to watch him grow as a football player.
Yeah, really fun to watch, both, seeing it live and then seeing the game film and kind of watching all that together, putting it together to see just every game he takes another step. And that's what you want out of every player, but especially the young players, to see them get better every single game. So the offensive line, finally on the offensive side of the ball, made some personnel changes. Tackles look like they played a little better this game.
They did. I think Leon has taken a step forward the last 2 weeks, and we put Fred into the lineup. He had a great week of practice last week. We need to continue to get better at that position, and I thought Fred did a really nice job for his kind of first start for this year. He's a talented young man, and now it's just about consistency, and I know Coach Anai has got high expectations for that group, not only technique-wise and assignment-wise, but the mentality it takes to play that position. And so we're excited for Fred and what he did. I think Tyson, center, continues to get better and better, and we put Braden at guard some, which I think was good for him. So we just need to keep building, and the mentality's got to continue to be developed there. But they did a nice job pass protecting, and we can do some things much better to get that run game going.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the defensive side of the ball, because we talked about it. Stats very close. You knew that Minnesota was going to be run heavy coming in. But a couple guys, you were without Cade Uluave early in the game, and Luke Farrelly, once again, continues to impress. Some young stuff, right? You watch it on film. There's some young stuff there too, but he continues to impress.
Yeah, Luke's done a really nice job to start the season. We have high expectations for Luke, but for a freshman to come in and be that steady for the first 3 games, he's, his work in the offseason and during the week of practice, it shows up in the games. And so I'm excited for Luke and what this, looks like for him moving forward. The other position, obviously, Cade being out, have Harrison Taggart and Aaron Hampton, old King Salmon in there. He did a heck of a job, had a huge play, I think you mentioned, just on getting a tackle for a loss to stall out a drive. But both those guys stepped up big, and I thought the defensive front played really well. Aiden Keana-Ina played big. And he is big, but he played really big. He was very strong at the point of attack, hard for them to block. TJ Bowlers made some really nice plays. And then Ryan and TJ Bush were really active on the edges. So I thought those guys made a huge difference in the game. There's no doubt about it. That front did a heck of a job. They all got game balls.
Oh, that's nice. And you can see them, so much is being gap sound on defense. And you can see those guys really working to shut down their gaps in that run game. As there was big time, like outside zone stuff where guys have to get across and really fighting to get across. I thought Stanley McKenzie actually showed up doing that several times as well.
Yeah, we rotated quite a few guys through there. It's kind of a 2-to-1, those starting D tackles to Stanley and Derek. It takes everybody, especially you play that many reps. We want to rotate those D linemen and the edge players. But again, when you turn the video on, Aiden Keana-Ina, the way he was striking people and knocking people back, they had a hard time blocking him one-on-one, which is exactly what you're looking for, and then having some more bodies to roll through there. I think the third quarter, the outside zone game hit us a few different times, so we had to make a couple changes there. But they settled down, and everybody was involved. The safeties were tackling. I thought Crosby played really well again. Aiden Monetai, Drew Polidor got some action, so those safeties showed up in the run game as well.
Yeah, I was going to talk about Isaiah Crosby because he just continues to show up all the time. He's a very sure tackler. Mm-hmm. For a guy who's not a 6'2" guy, he's really solid in his tackling.
He is. He's fast. He can really run. He's got quick feet. The other thing that I love about Crosby, that guy works. From Monday to Friday night, Saturday morning, he is a total pro. We've had high standards on the DBs and how they play and how they prepare, more importantly, around here. And he's the same. I mean, in terms of how he takes care of his body, the film study, the walkthroughs. I mean, he's a total professional, and it shows up in the game. So really proud of him. Excited for him. I did have a good exchange with him because I told him I knew he dropped that 4th down pick on purpose because that way we had better field position. Right. So we appreciate him doing that.
Pro move, really smart, giving up the stats for the field position. That's awesome. Yeah, great job. That's fantastic. Speaking of picks, Zeke Masses, another interception. And one of the things that really shows up with all the DBs, but Zeke especially, is his recognition. Like, you can see that this guy is watching film, that he understands what he's looking at, and he's getting vision through routes back to the quarterback. He's doing everything that you want to teach at that position.
Yeah, Zeke's doing a really nice job. He's a coachable guy. He's got good tools. We got to clean up our hands a little bit, both him and Paco, because they can both cover man, and they're in good position a lot of the time, really good. We need to clean our hands up a little bit so we can cut down on those PIs. But he's making plays on the ball. He made a couple more plays on the ball to break some passes up, and then he had a great pick. The thing I loved about the pick was that route showed up earlier in the game, and on the sideline, there was a coaching point, and it was to the corners, but just as much to the nickels to get a really big reroute and hinge to make the quarterback put air on the ball. And Cam Sidney did a great job on that play. If you watch that again, just to get a reroute with number 2 in the seam, get a big hinge. That quarterback had to put air on the ball, and then Zeke was able to pick it. So it was an excellent job taking something from the sideline, applying it to the game, and then making the play.
It's awesome when you can see that happen. I love that you say, oh, they're doing something different. Here's how we handle it.
Yeah.
It's just huge. In-game adjustments are fantastic. And run fits, right, are everything. We talked about it a little bit. How hard is it when players are new, right? Luke Farrelly's a freshman, Manitai as a freshman, true freshman coming in, to these guys to understand like pace, width, the whole 9 yards in that? Because as a quarterback, I never had to worry about run fits personally. I never had to see it. But how hard is it to see it when it's all going at one time? Because there's a couple plays where that's what happens. The play moves away from you, and maybe you're not quite sound in your fit. How hard is that for a linebacker or safety to come down and find those?
Yeah, I mean, the hardest thing is if you, especially if you're seeing maybe a little bit different scheme than your offense runs, is how do you replicate that in practice? Because the scout team, they give us great looks, but it doesn't always look like it does in the game, No,
and those dudes from Minnesota were huge.
Yeah,
that was bodies, a massive offensive line.
And they're really good. They do a great job where their run and their play action game look similar. And if you can remember, we probably talked about this years ago, Oregon State, when did an excellent job of that, back in those years where they were a big outside zone team, and every run looked the same as the play action pass that accompanied it. And that's how it was last week. And you have to be really, the more experience you get, there's subtle differences that you can get a key on when it is play action. And now you can get your hands up to knock some of those glance routes down and things like that. But we can do better job there on some of the run play action transitions. And they do give you some challenging run schemes, and they earn some plays in there, but we'll just need to continue to work on that and get better at it so we can try and get some more negative plays on first or second down.
Yeah, well, in all, it was a great win. I mean, to get a Big Ten opponent in your house, a good Big Ten opponent. I don't think they win the conference, but I think they're a pretty good team, right? I think they show up in the Big Ten. So to get a win over a team like that as your first kind of statement win, I think that's a great win. This week, we turn the page now, just like football does. The next week, it's a new opponent, and you face San Diego State. And I look at their offense. I watched a little bit of film on them, and they look fairly explosive with the quarterback, who's a transfer from Michigan, pretty athletic. He can throw the ball, a couple of guys who can run it, some receivers who can run. What's the challenge for you guys on the defensive side of the ball against San Diego State?
Tempo, RPO game, because they're going to put people in conflict. They're going to be very aggressive. They did a great job last year of giving us some kind of different looks. They'll have some things that they do in the game that we have not seen on tape because they're coming off a bye week. Coach Lewis is a really good coach. The quarterbacks in his systems always play well. So they'll be a challenge. They got our full attention, and we started as early as Sunday with obviously the coaches, but even the players were mulling around and starting to watch all the video. So they're a good football team. Defensively, they're going to be really aggressive. Their punt rush is really aggressive. So they have our full attention.
Yeah, and they love to get after the quarterback. They love to bring blitzes kind of from everywhere. How do you handle that on offense?
Yeah, I mean, you got to be really sound in your protections. You got to know who your IDs are. You got to see any potential pre-snap rotations, and backs are going to be key. The tight ends, obviously the centers, and identifying the points and all that. But they do a lot of different things, and you mentioned it. They're very, very aggressive. I mean, they're going to bring, edge pressure. Their edge players are big. They bring the corner. They'll bring zero. They got their interior pressures. So those safeties get really involved in the run game. So they do a heck of a job.
There's a chance for the young quarterback to kind of see some pressure coming at him. Another learning opportunity this week with San Diego State. But, Coach, overall, great win last week. Looking forward to seeing this game, the road trip. And, again, you get to travel on Friday. You don't have to travel on a Thursday.
Yeah, absolutely. You just tell us where the games are. We'll be there ready to go.
I love it. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks. Go Bears.
That was Traverse Family head football coach Justin Wilcox. And a lot to be happy about this week, a lot to work on, which is exactly where coaches like to be. They want to be happy about the game, but they also want to have a ton to coach you on. So a lot of that going on around Cal this week, but good energy overall in the program right now, and some confidence, quite honestly, in that offensive side of the ball. So good to see. Nice to feel that on the radio this week with my partner, Justin Allegri, and good to be able to be a part of that broadcast. Really enjoyed it. That was super fun. Coming up, Bears head to San Diego and get to check out Snapdragon Stadium for the first time. Have not been in there yet. And so I'm looking forward to that. But San Diego State has a team that they have talent. Everybody's got talent these days, but San Diego State has some talent. That quarterback position, Jaden Denigal. He's a guy who was a backup in Michigan when the Wolverines won the national championship, when they beat Washington in that national championship game. He's got experience. He's fast. He's athletic. He can spin it now as a quarterback. He can throw from different throwing angles, and he's pretty accurate with his passing. Game, not last week, but last game versus Washington State. They've had a bye week now. He was 15 for 30, 133, so not a phenomenal outing for him, but he's got some talent, and he can spin it. And they run the RPO game a ton, so he will get that ball out in the RPO. He's got some receivers who can run. His number one receiver that you'll look at, his receiver's number is 2, but his top receiver is Jordan Napier. And he was the only returning receiver with the catch coming into the season. So interesting for the Aztecs. But he can run. He runs good routes. He's got natural ball skills. He's top target for Denigal right now at that receiver position. Their second receiver is Jason Bostic. He had a big touchdown catch versus Washington State. So he's got some explosiveness to him. He's number 17. And then their big play guy, the guy they want to throw the deep ball to, who stretches the top off of coverage, is Donovan Brown. So he's a guy that can flat out run. And you see him matched up in coverage against Washington State, and he can outrun dudes. So corners will have their hands full this week. There's some speed across the board in that San Diego State receiving core. But our guys have shown that they can cover. Paco Austin's looked very good. Zeke Masters has looked very good. Obviously, 3 interceptions in 3 games. You're doing something right. So you'll see the matchups across the board. Probably have to play more man and handle that RPO game that way. And so they'll be stretched this week. And then tempo on offense. They're going to try to get 90-plus snaps off this week. San Diego State will. And so the Bears have to be ready to handle that kind of tempo going into the game. And if they can do that, it gives them a chance to be really successful. Shut them down, shut down that tempo, get the ball back for your offense, and you are in business in a game like this. Because once you have a team that tries to go tempo on you, if you can shut down that tempo, you get them in trouble. And that's what happened against Washington State. Score was 36-13. All said and done, the Cougs got the win in that one. Defensively for San Diego State, they are going to bring a ton of pressures. They're going to bring linebacker dogs. They're going to bring safety blitzes, fire blitzes. They're going to bring corner cats, so corner crashes out there in corner blitzes. They're going to send the house at you and try to make you decipher it. So this will be a new look for the young quarterback. Sangapolatelli has to be on his game, understanding where pressure is coming from. Brian Harsin has to continue to give him answers against pressure. And so that's a big deal this week versus San Diego State on the road. Kind of got to do all those things right as a young quarterback. And so I expect that the offense will be well coached to handle that, but the defense is going to bring pressure. And then they have one defensive end, number 2, Trey White, considered an elite defensive end pass rush guy. So he's going to be something to handle. Our tackles, once again, will be challenged out there. And so they're going to have to handle that and handle all the pressure around it. But stop the tempo, handle the pressure, and you're in business down in San Diego. By the way, a lot of these pressure teams do that with tempo offenses because they're trying to get the ball back for the offense. So create havoc on defense with pressure, find the turnovers. You might get beat for a couple of big ones, but then you might get a cheap turnover back. And so that's kind of the concept there. Don't forget, later in the week, I'm going to put up my pause plays of the week. I got some good ones figured out for this week. And as always, I'd love to hear your input on those and on this. And I appreciate you guys watching. But that's it for today. Bears get a big win in Minnesota. Now they're on the road to San Diego State. I'm looking forward to that trip and to seeing how the Bears continue to progress. As always, I am Mike Pawlawski for Bear Insider and the Ultimate Insider Podcast. Go Bears.